Today we're doing the Kalima Oracle, right? Hello, baby girl. Hello, baby. Hi, hi, hi. This one here looks dark. Is it dark? Don't be dark. YouTube, it's not dark. Okay, my computer's dark. Hi, everyone. Welcome to everybody who has been joining me for my workouts. Hi. Thank you, Giselle. These are from my African stores, from the African people. This one in particular is from Miss Jallo. Miss Jallo is in Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Thetford Avenue, Brooklyn, between Pitkin and Belmont. I will put her information down below when I'm done. I know. My African people are coming through with all the African looks. Absolutely love it. All right, so we're doing Kalima today. I love Kalima. I'm always excited about Kalima. I have so much stuff here. And one thing that I love about this outfit is it has a split. The split is all the way. You can see it's in my belly. I love it. I love it. Okay, your favorite. Thank you. Before I start, I want to make just a little bit of an announcement because I'm changing things a little bit. Hello. What is the name? Royale. Hello, Royale. Welcome. And we're doing Kalima, right? So I want to make an announcement. Well, two of them. The first one is I'm making some changes. So the lives at 12 will be just for 1 hour, right? But for some of you who joined me this morning, we'll be doing the workouts every day at 9 a.m. We'll be working out. And also, I'll be back at around 4 p.m. Eastern. So the live was yesterday. No. And then I'll be back at 4 p.m. Eastern, and I'll be talking about cleansing for healing. Cleansing for healing. That way we'll have an opportunity to talk about herbs, to talk about the products that I use to cleanse and how you can use them, because I mix all my products with herbs. So we have another hour to talk about just cleansing if you are healing from whatever it is that you're going through in your life. So we'll be having 3 lives every day, which means Saturday and Sunday I will not be live. So 9 a.m. I'll be live doing workouts with one of the ladies in the business. 12 p.m. all of it is instant. 12 p.m. we'll do the oracle cards, right? The cards. And then 4 p.m. we'll have time to talk about cleansing and healing. One of my customers, I went there, and there's this guy, African American, but I call him African. And his belly is all the way here. And as I was talking to them, he was drinking a bottle of Pepsi. And my customer was getting the watermelon tea. I had to take it to her. And she was telling me, whatever work that you're doing, he needs it. He needs the cleansing. And I'm talking to this guy, and he didn't even care what I was saying. He was too focused on his bottle of Pepsi. And my customer said, the lady, she said, he has digestion issues. He has intestine issues. He has so many issues, he can't even carry his belly. But I was speaking to the guy, and he didn't care what I was saying. I was like, sugar is killing us. Yeah. Are we going to have our education lecture at 12 or just cards? It will be both of them together. And also because I'm offering the one-on-ones, right? I would leave most of the talking for the one-on-ones because I'm going live 3 times a day. It will be a little too much for me to do all of it. He needs cleansing. Yeah, you need to be healthy. Good afternoon, Sana. Hello, sir. Hello, my brother. Hi, hi, hi. I love it when you say Fiberon Pendawagan. Only my grandmother used to say that to me. And so the second announcement that I have, which is really not announcement, this is what the teaching and the lecture that Giselle is talking about. But most of that I'll save it for the one-on-ones that I'm open to doing now. This weekend, something happened. There's this on Instagram, mostly I'm networking with Africans, even though I'm around different communities. But most of the people, apart from the lives that I talk to, are from the African continent. And then TikTok, I have a mixture. YouTube, I have a mixture. And Facebook is predominantly African Americans, right? Good afternoon, Fatimata. Welcome, welcome. Good morning? No, good afternoon. Welcome. So I was talking to this lady, I think, this African lady, and she said that I posted something that scared her. And because my post scared her, she unfollowed me. Now, I'm not talking about this because she unfollowed me. The unfollow is fine, that's not a problem. But what I realized is that, and we've talked about this over and over, most of us have been trained and programmed and taught to be afraid of who we are, to be afraid of our African culture, to be afraid of our heritage, to be afraid of ourselves, to be afraid of our ancestors. Because I personally do not post anything that's not related to African culture, African spirituality, African heritage, Caribbean, African American. My Instagram, everywhere you go, is all about that. Even when you see me post anybody who's, like we like to call them, white people, is people who teach these principles, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, like Abraham Hicks, right, who talk about spirituality and opening our minds, right? Now I am getting to see more people who post about white Jesus, who post about, the white churches and all of these things. And it's none of my business and it's not my problem. Because, like I said, the work that I do is not to change people, it's to call in my tribe, the people that understand what I'm saying, the people that are interested in what I do. And for me, it's like raising awareness and showing that we have our own thing, but we have been made to be afraid of it. And so it was fascinating to me when the person said that the reason that they unfollowed my account was because I posted something that scared them. And I know what I posted was probably one of the orations, right? One of the orations. It could have been Elegua. I post about Elegua, Oshun, Oya, Yemaya. These are the people that I post, our ancestors. And so we have a lot of work to do, right? One person cannot do it. We have a lot of work to do. A lot of people come on my page and say that I am being a witch. But what exactly is a witch? Because when you listen to spiritual warfare by pastors, right, back to sender prayers and all of that, what exactly are they doing? What's the difference? Apart from them calling the name Jesus and us not calling the name Jesus, what is the difference? Because for us here, we're calling our ancestors. And I told this person, I said, do some research. Go back to your ancestors. Go back to your heritage and find out what Africans used to do, what Africans believed in before Christianity and Islam came. And I know even on TikTok, majority of the time there are people who stop by and keep telling me, Jesus will get you. And I'm just like, hello, I'm doing well. July Young, fascinating. I'm doing beautiful. I'm doing wonderful. And so I just wanted to share that and to say there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Say thank you to your ancestors. They were in alignment. No, they're not in alignment. I know. Right? I'm saying the same thing, Nina. Giselle, what Nina means, it's the same thing. What the pastors are saying, plus what we're talking about here, is basically the same, right? The only difference is they call Jesus. I don't call Jesus, I call on my ancestors. We call on our ancestors, right? I see July Young here has the Ankh. That's what we do. We talk about the Ankh. Where's mine? It's in the bedroom. Everything we do is in relation to that, to the soil. Had this conversation with a friend online. Yeah, she randomly asked me why I worship a god in the sky. And she just learned about Oshun or whatever you just reference. Yeah. Have they listened to your live, even you speak post? They didn't listen to anything. And I'm sure that they didn't even read what I wrote. It's all the same. I can pull whatever I want from my source and keep it alignment. Yeah, it's all the same, right? It's all the same. It's all the same. I believe that. Let me like this and then we go ahead. I'll be more mindful with the time now. We can't be doing 2 hours and 3 hours anymore. I'm sorry, and I know Giselle like it. But like I said, now I have the one-on-one forms, which people have been asking me for. So if somebody wants something more specific or to talk to them individually, I'm offering that now and I can do that. But I just had to talk about that because last week too, somebody came on and was like, what are you doing? Are you not Muslim? And I had to ask them, and I don't know if there was a her or a he, I had to ask them, have you ever researched what our people were doing before they became Muslim and Christians, right? I think these are conversations that we need to have more. Yeah, I don't know why I should interest in what she was talking about. And I remember you, yeah, mentioned Oshun's when we are talking about healing the inner child. Yeah, yeah. Religion makes us feel divided, or it divides us, but it's all the same. If somebody believes in Jesus, that's absolutely fine. I do. If somebody believes in Allah and Muhammad, that's fine too. I do. If somebody believes in the ancestors, um, the African Orishas, that's beautiful. I do. I can speak to anybody as long as you're not imposing whatever you believe in on me, right? Nina's right here. I don't think she's, personally, I don't see it as praying to a God in the sky. It's the consciousness, right? It's the Christ consciousness. It's the consciousness that we are after. But then people who don't know are looking towards the sky, praying to a God, something outside of us in the way that it was taught to us. But really, what we're looking for is the consciousness. And even when you talk about Oshun or you talk about the African Orishas, many people see it as worshiping stones or idols. Is basically the consciousness, right? When you go to the temple and they talk about Buddha, It's Buddha's consciousness that we are after, not necessarily wanting, anyway, to worship that. But I just needed to say that. Yeah, absolutely, Nina. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. So as always, we just pick one card, whatever cards that fall off, and we break it down and talk about it. And because of that, those incidents last week especially is why, my mind just took me to Kalima, because a lot of people are afraid of Kalima. They see her as, I don't know, devilish or whatever. Kalima is the dark goddess, the goddess of destruction, the black goddess. If you're afraid of these things, you're basically just afraid of yourself. What is it that we need to know today? The deck door is bigger than my hands. See that? Good afternoon. Oh, good afternoon, Sonia. How are you, Sonia? Hope to see you when I come back to Nashville. Uh, I was supposed to be there early October, but the plan fell apart. But I'll reach out to you when I get there. Nafis is a big girl now. She's 7, about to be 8, and tall, very tall. All right, one card for the day. Bavatarina. I don't know what that means, but I'll read that. I did stop with crystals, though. God sent me a sign one day. I had to take heed. Right? I love crystals. I have a whole tray of crystals. For me, I just find them very soothing. I just have them with me. Whatever it is that I'm manifesting or talking about, I have a crystal for it. I know it's not the crystal that makes the dream come true, but just holding the crystal and the energy, for me, I find that powerful. Okay, so let me get the teachings from this one. Baba, what did I? You are beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Definitely. Oh, I bet. I know, right? She is tall, into gymnastics. And I'm just like, my body cannot move that way. 280 and wow, this is the end of the book. Tantra. Bhavatarina is Tantra. I've been feeling that lately. There is no compromise with God if he says stop. Oh. All right, so let me read that. The tantric priestess of karmic release manifests with the capacity to integrate higher divine energy into even the most stubborn not pertaining. Let me read that again. I'm still drinking my coffee. The tantric priestess of karmic release manifests with the capacity to integrate a higher divine energy into even the most stubborn patterning that has so far resisted the healing. When momentum is building and you don't know how to stop fueling the fire or reverse the damage, she appears. Her presence indicates that this is powerful. This is a powerful time for spiritual work and healing practices. She will support the work, and much growth can come from it, particularly at this time. No matter how wild they may seem, the storms of your life shall be gentled. You shall emerge unharmed. And as I read this, just seeing the conversation here, a question came to mind to integrate higher divine energy into even the most stubborn patterning that has so far resisted healing, right? And I saw, Giselle, you said when God says, and the question just keeps, I keep hearing it the more I read. When God says, which God? When God says stop, in what context of God saying stop, and which God is saying stop? You know what I mean? Whoa, this is so on point, right? It brought the reading. I know you mean the reading is so point, and it's just making me ask that question, right? The Nutriverse is right here in my bag. I should take mine, right? But I haven't had my Nutriverse because I've been doing the Delgado Coffee NRG with the cleansing, which we'll talk about that today at 4. And I'm still drinking that. Hello. Right. So in seeing that, the tantric priestess of karmic release manifests with the capacity to integrate higher divine energy into even the most stubborn patterning that has so far resisted healing. Right? So God said, stop using crystals. Which God said that? And stop using crystals. Why? You know what I mean? Which God is speaking, and which God are we talking about? Higher divine energy. Yeah, to go a different path, and I have struggled. Right, I'm not, and here, I don't know what exactly you mean, but I'm not talking about conviction. I'm drinking coffee. I'm drinking my coffee, but I have different ways of making my coffee. First of all, I put herbs in my coffee, the water that I boil the coffee with, and we'll talk about that at 4 p.m. I'll come on because people have been asking me about these recipes. I use different herbs for my coffee, but at the same time, these are products I sell, which are nutritional, also cleansing, and I still use the herbs with them, but I'll put it there. I'll bring it. I believe everyone cannot tap into everything because, yeah, let me see what you said here. Well, the scenario was I was on a fast, Christian based fast, yeah, and I wound up getting a bonus out of the blue, yeah. So I went to cash the check, headed to the crystal shop, and hit someone's car dead in the front of the crystal shop. Yeah, I mean, all of those is fine. Oh, you can wait to hear. Yes, join me again at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll talk about that. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm just because one thing that's powerful is self-reflection and also asking yourself questions. Because for me, even when I get signs, sometimes I have to sit back and look at the sign that I am getting. Is the sign really about the crystal sharp? Is the sign about the whatever it is, whatever emotions, whatever energy that has been happening or going on before that incident happened, you know? So never mix energies, right? I don't think you understand where I'm going with this, right? I don't think it's landing, but I hope even if it doesn't land today, at some other day it lands, right? Because even when you listen to Muji, when you say I, anybody listens to Muji? Anybody knows who Muji is? When you listen to Muji and you say I, he would always say, which I is speaking? Which I are you talking about? And he has a tendency of questioning us during the satsangs. When you talk about God, he would always say, how do you see God? What is your perception of God? And which God are you talking about? And Muji is a Christian, right? He is a Jesus Christian. It's from him that I learned what Christ consciousness is. But one thing about his platform is open to whoever, whatever your denomination is, Islam, non-Muslim, the Christians, we all gather together there. But I have gotten to a point where I don't just accept, right? I always think about it in a different way. When we talk about God, what are we talking about, right? What aspect of God are we saying? And who are we referring to? Are we referring to, the way that it has been taught to us? Yeah, right. So Goddess Kali as Bhavatarina is the tantric priestess of karmic release and spiritual blessing. She liberates devotees from karmic struggles, especially those who keep repeating the same patterns with different players. The same patterns with different players. These are the questions that I am posing, right? Because many of us have been told, oh, God told me this, or divine told me this. But who are we referring to? Is it the small voice that is within us? Because whoever's talking is the small voice within us. It's our intuition, right? That's how I see it. Because even the teachers that I listen to, they talk about how we are God and God is within us, right? But if we're talking about something outside of us, it is still repeating the same patterns with different players. Her presence in the reading implies the divine mother's blessing of a divine disruption. And I promise you, I didn't pick this card before I came here. Disruption. This is my goal with the question that I'm asking. Disruption, right? The sign, and it's quite fascinating that that topic is so aligning with what we are reading. When a sign happens, like what is the sign exactly saying? What emotions came before the car accident? Because car accident is fear, it emotes fear, and it jolts you up. It's a lot of pain, which means that at some point before that happened, there was some manifestations or some emotions that happened beforehand, which made you manifest that fear state. But also, it could be that you were supposed to meet something new. Like Kevin Trudeau would say, when I'm going somewhere and I have a flat tire or I hit somebody, or something happens with my car, the first question that comes to mind is, oh, wonderful, something's wrong with my car. Now I have to stop. Who's the new person that I'm going to meet? Am I going to meet somebody new? Am I going to have a new business partner? What is happening? What is going on? Asking those questions, right? Right. So there's certain things that it could also be that God, divine, whoever it is telling you that don't go inside the crystal shop. We don't know. But here it says, right? The presence in a reading, her presence in a reading implies the divine mother's blessing of a divine disruption. Sometimes the jolt of the disruption, sometimes my tongue is dry. Sometimes the jolt of the disruption is such a shock that is temporarily unpleasant, and we feel, therefore, that it is unwanted or harmful. However, once we allow the workings of such disruption to realign our affairs, we will come to recognize and be grateful for what is taking place. We will see it as a saving grace rather than something we had to endure. The oracle predicts the season of restrictive, negative influences, right? And so sometimes a sign is not telling you one thing. Sometimes a sign is telling you so many different things, but also where is the sign coming from, right? Who were you before you had that sign? And that sign can be a sickness in your life, how you're feeling right now, your body, and that goes in line um, with the fitness and weight loss and health challenge that we are having. It starts tomorrow, but we started today. Like who were you? When I started, I spoke about this guy who works with one of my clients. Hola, who works with one of my clients, and he's sitting there with a huge unhealthy belly. And if you see this man, you know he is absolutely unhealthy from his clothes, from what he is wearing, and he's not unemployed, he is employed. I went to their workplace. Some of my furniture, I bought it from them, right? I went to their workplace, but what he eats and just sitting down with this bottle of Pepsi and leaning because he cannot sit upright because of his belly, right? The patterns that we repeat. Me going there right at the same time that I am delivering cleansing products was a sign to his health, because they said that he has digestion issues, he has what is it called, intestine issues. So over here with this card here that we're reading, it says divine energy into even the most stubborn patterning that has so far resisted healing, right? Most of us, we resist healing. We have the signs to heal us. It comes to us every day. But like I am doing the disruption here, and I don't know who's left, if Nina's still here or if it's Giselle who's still here. The disruption is it's, do we take in that disruption, right? Let me read here. Her presence in a reading implies the divine mother's blessing of a divine disruption. Sometimes the jolt of the disruption is such a shock that is that it is temporarily, I can temporarily unpleasant, and we feel therefore that is unwanted or harmful. I know when I went there and I had the products in my hand for cleansing, and this guy saw me, and me and the lady, we were talking, and the lady was like, oh, he needs these products because look at his belly and all this stuff. The guy just brushed me off because me standing there looking healthy, my client looking healthy and beautiful, and both of us ladies telling him that you need a change in your health. And we were talking about how all these back pain, diabetes, heart diseases, all these issues, right? Skin problems. I had the skin problems is related to one, the foods we eat and never cleaning our system. It was a disruption for him because this is not the first time for him to see me, but this is the first time that we talked about his health, and he didn't want to hear it. He was just like, okay, go. And then he took his bottle of Pepsi again, sip on it, and put it back down. And I was like, I'm in the neighborhood. You know where I am. You did all of my furniture whenever you need me. However, once we allow the workings of such disruption to align our affairs, we will come to recognize and be grateful for what is taking place. It's the same thing that I mentioned when I first started about this person that I spoke to on Instagram who said that my post made him scared or made her scared. I don't know if it's a him or her, but given the business that they're doing, I'm guessing it's a she or they are a she, which means that the moment they saw me post whatever it is that got them scared, one, they didn't take the time to research what is it that I posted and what I was talking about and how it relates to them. It was a jolt for them, it was a shock for them. So the first thing that came to their mind, probably, I am assuming, was witchcraft, which is something that people have started to label me as, right? A witch, which is fine. I accept it. I absolutely love witches stuff, but I don't see it as that. I think we have things. Oh, let me read this part because Ma Kali or Kalima in this image, Kalima is the dark goddess. She is the black goddess. That's why I love her. I feel wherever I see her image, she looks exactly like me. Exactly like me. So I love Kalima for that fact. Because when I look at Kalima, I feel like I'm looking at myself. So wherever I go, I always have something of Kalima with me. Ma is adorned with flowers in recognition that she is celebrated during puja. That's a celebration in India. Unlike the fierce Kali, who is adorned in fearsome places in the dead of night, which is this Kali, fearsome. And whenever I get up, um, you always see this. This is Kalima's poster thing. So like I said, when I look at Kali, it feels like I'm looking at myself. So I have a lot of stuff of Kalima because I feel like she is me, exactly like me. Her depiction is as dark as I am. This Kali is adorned in celebrations of the light. So she looks here much more romantic than scary. But Kalima generally, whenever she appears to somebody, is about disruption. I don't know, maybe I was ready to disrupt something today. That's why she came to mind to read her card. And she teaches that our spiritual activities can have a positive influence more so than we think is possible. In a reading, she foretells of a profoundly positive and expansive energy that will become available to us if we are willing to open our hearts to her. I I know this. I know this. She also reminds us that we don't have to wait until things become severe to call on the Divine Mother's assistance. Why not call for her daily, not only to resolve issues, but to prevent them from gaining traction in the first place? I spoke about spiritual warfare. I don't know if how many people know this. Spiritual warfare is the same idea. If you do spiritual warfare prayers or you listen to spiritual warfare prayers, how I interpret them is the idea or the phrase change before it's time to change. You know you have to change. We know when we have to change. But we just don't want to take the steps necessary to change. I have been there, right? There are times we don't know. So when you don't know, you basically don't know. When you listen to me, you've heard me talk about these things, and they are from personal experience, right? And what it's saying here that foretells of a profound, positive, and expansive energy that will become available to us if we are willing to open our hearts to her. Initially, it was difficult for me to open my heart to this journey and the things that I talk about and the things that I do, from the crystals to the, I talk about this a lot, going back to back to my African heritage. TikTok is pretty bright, but you can see the cow shells, right? Back to my African heritage, and not and knowing that when I was in the Gambia, I absolutely loved seeing the women, do the cowrie shells, which we call petao. I didn't know it then, but it used to fill me with so much joy and peace when I sit with these women, and this is what they're doing. Some of them were just able to do it. So in the afternoons, we will sit under the trees, and some of them will just do this, and I wanted to learn it. But I couldn't because, again, it is considered witchcraft. And to this day, wherever I go, I carry a lot of cowrie shells, but I still can't do it like the women used to do it. But I'm going to learn because I know I have to be able to do this before I die. So, like here, what it is saying that if you're willing to open your hearts, it was difficult for me to open my heart because everything I talk about and everything that I do now was considered what? Witchcraft. She also reminds us that we don't have to wait until things become severe to call on the Divine Mother's assistance. Divine Mother, Kalima, God, like we talked about, Jesus, Allah, whoever it is, you change before it is time to change. Because when it's time to change, it's actually too late, believe it or not, right? People say it's never too late, but sometimes it is. When it comes to your health, when it comes to your well being, when it comes to your mindset, knowing that something about you needs to change. Because maybe you are in your 30s, you are in your 40s, you're in your 50s. The women that I am surrounded with, we talk about these things, but you are stuck in your life. Your life is stuck. Where you knew that you could be, you are not there. And that stuckness didn't just happen in one day. We don't just get stuck in one day. I don't know, I can't remember if it's Jim Rohn or if it's Tony Robbins who said that our habits stack up. So one day you say you would do one thing and then you don't do it. You procrastinate. And then eventually the procrastination becomes a habit. So you don't procrastinate. So you procrastinate everything that you do. Overthinking eventually becomes a habit, right? And then not keeping promises to yourself when you say you will do something eventually becomes a habit. So these tiny, tiny, tiny things that we say, don't worry about it, is the things that define our life. And then one day we wake up and we're 50, we're 60, we're 70, and we look around, might be overweight, or even you could be not overweight, but unhealthy, broke. What I'm saying, I see it in my own family, right? And I've talked to some of my family members about this issue. People get there. So we don't change when it's time to change, but then we change or we try to change when actually it's too late. There's a saying that sometimes we say, oh, we don't want something, because by saying we don't want it, it gives us the opportunity to believe that it's not necessary. Somebody might say, oh, I don't want a big house. I don't want a beautiful house. I don't need all of that. It's not necessary. It's vain. But they're broke. And because they're broke, that's an easy way for what? An excuse to say, I don't need that. You know, these rich people are frauds. These rich people are that. But that makes us feel good to stay where we are and not change the things that we do. I have done that about stuff, so I know how that feels. Okay, I will read a little bit more and then I'll be done for today. Right, okay, let me see, where did I stop? If we align ourselves with such simple and happiness inducing wisdom, our lives can become peaceful and free from unnecessary drama. Falaharina, I can't pronounce this, means the woman who takes away the fruit of our actions. This means that she can conquer our karma. And funnily enough, yesterday in the real world, there was an emergency meeting and they were talking about how karma is real. It's a real thing, no matter what people say or believe, right? Even scientifically, if anybody knows how it's said scientifically, quantum physics or physics itself talk about this, right? Opposite reactions, and it's just one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. So karma, people might think of it as a spiritual thing or an Indian thing or whatever it is, but it's a real happening. It's a real thing. If you eat McDonald's every day for a month, eventually you feel a certain way. You look a certain way. If you don't take care of your skin, eventually it feels a certain way. You look a certain way. There's a pastor that I like listening, an African pastor, and he was saying that your house, if you want it to be dirty, you just don't do anything with it. You just leave your house like that. And eventually it will be dirty. That's all karma. That's all an aspect of karma. You are married. Maybe you don't take care of your wife or you don't take care of your husband. You don't believe they deserve certain things. The marriage is going to turn one way. You believe they're cheating or they're like this, they're like that, is going to turn up one way. You believe that women have to be this certain way or men have to be this certain way, then it's going to turn one way. This is all karma, right? How you raise your kids determines how they grow up to be. Even though sometimes some people would say, I did everything for my child and look what they did. Yes, but you're not looking deeper. What didn't you do? Maybe you did everything that you think was good for them, but in actuality, it's not what your child wanted or needed. to be the person you want them to be. Karma. This is all karma. Hi, Maurice. Hey, John. How are you? You just popping in? I spoke about our conversation, most of it. So here we go. Let me see. This means that she can conquer our karma. Kali can cleanse our samsara. It's suffering, pain, mental health issues, all of these things, samsara, or mental psychic imprints, the generational things that we inherited, right? And so these are the familiar grooves that keep the soul repeating patterns lifetime after lifetime, which is why they're saying that if you heal yourself, you heal your ancestors. Is very powerful, and it's true. Because when you're able to break whatever patterns of overweight, patterns of laziness, patterns of procrastination, poverty, when you're able to break those patterns, you're healing your ancestors that passed, right? They are comprised of habitual ways of thinking, which is what I explained. When you fail in your life or you feel like you fail, it's not the government. Even though somebody came here one time and was wanting to, oh, the government this. No, when you fail in your life, because I can look at it in my own life, it's the habits I had, or the things that I didn't do, or the changes that I knew I had to do, but I never did. They are comprised of habitual ways of thinking and behaving that prevent us from evolving into something new and more suitable. They are the karma of stuckness, limiting our freedom, creativity, and expression. Let me read that again. They are comprised of habitual ways of thinking and behaving that prevent us from evolving into something new and more suitable. They are the karma of stuckness, limiting our freedom, creativity, and expression. So I'll leave it at that. And I want to say that yes, us as people, wherever we are, we have different things that's stopping us from getting to the place that we want to be. It can be racism, which we talked about, that the idea that we have of what racism is really not about color, but whoever you are, wherever you're from, if you take time to look back into your habits, your habitual ways of thinking, are you a victim? Just today in Girl Hold My Hand, when we were doing Wake Up and Win, Coach Stormy was talking about you can be the victim, the villain, or the hero. So you have to see where you are at. And Andrew Tate always tells us in the real world that if you're poor, there are three reasons why. You're either stupid, lazy, or arrogant. And he would say it's a very small number of people who are stupid, because people are generally intelligent. And many people are not lazy, right? They want to do what's right. But most of us are arrogant. I was a part of that arrogance, right? Because I was raised by people who are pride, believing that they know everything, and they don't need to learn anything new. So just to close today, wherever you are in your life, myself included, like Beyonce would say, I take my own advice. The alarm is on. Like Beyonce would say, I take I take my own advice. I talk about these things and then I have to look back at myself to really reflect and see, okay, which of the things that I talk about am I still doing and what is the work necessary for me to break them? Wherever we are in our life right now is a combination, is a combination of habits, thoughts, beliefs, ways of thinking, ideas. Is the government's problem. It's white people, it's black people, it's Asians, it's whoever it is, to the point where we don't have the time to really take accountability and responsibility of our life. I used to do this. So I'm talking about things that I used to do. There's also the belief that, money comes a certain way, the idea of money in itself, making money very real when actually it's paper. um, Grant Cardone has a very short training where he was explaining how money is just printed paper and then they put pictures back and forth, which is not real, but it has been made to be very tangible and very real in our minds, right? Where it drives everything we do. So these are all ideas and beliefs and thoughts and habits that we have. I have to break those as well. The belief that, I can't do this is too hard to be done. I made a new schedule and I mentioned this when I started, and the schedule scared me to death. One, I have to be live 3 times a day, talk about different aspects of the things that I'm doing, right? I have to edit promos because I edit my own videos. I have to go on the internet and find these things and find the stock images. So when I did this schedule just last week, the first thing that I thought about was, this is a lot. I can't do this. So like Beyonce said, I take my own advice. And I had to take my own advice knowing that there are people who are looking up to me, and that always makes me feel jittery. And I'm like, oh my God, they listen to the things that I say. And they are with me when I go live. They are part of my group. I have right now about 39 or 40 people inside of my accountability group. And now I'm going to call it the Oracles Place, who are there, who look forward to what I share with them. And so I had to look back and say, this is not hard. This is an idea that I picked up as a child, where people always say, oh, that's too much. Oh, you are too much. Oh, don't do that. Don't be too obsessive. And then I come to realize that in business, you have to be obsessive. Right? Because everything that I do live is work for me. It's not just entertainment. It's work. It feels good. Part of entertainment and everything. So wherever you are, whether you have the house you want or you don't, you have the car you want or you don't, you have the wife, the husband you want or you don't, you have the kids that you want or you don't. And I know there are different scenarios of not being to have this, not, but just open your mind to the fact that you can learn something new, you can be something different, you can find resources. Like Tony Robbins say that you have to be resourceful. When you're doing something, it's not the money that you don't get. It's about how resourceful you are to yourself and to other people, and how much value you can provide to yourself and to other people. I've been trying to build the Oracles Place, but I didn't know that I had to come to this point to have 40 people be in there. And I had to sit down and think, I am a lot more resourceful and valuable to people than when I was trying to build this and just thinking people would just join me. So look back in your life, reflect. Self-reflection is a tool and a skill that everybody can do. Self-reflection is not a gift. We can all self-reflect. But the thing is, when you self-reflect, are you being truthful to yourself or are you lying to yourself? Do you self-reflect and get the message that you need and really see your actions, but then you brush them off and then be the victim or the villain and push it to somebody else or something outside of yourself and really not take the necessary steps to change your habits? So, change before you have to change, right? You can be, do, and have anything you want in life. Nobody will give it to you. You can give it to yourself. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 1 hour on the clock. I'll see you back here at 4. I'll be talking about healing. I'll be talking about herbs. I'll be talking about the products that I use. I sell them, but also how to mix them up with herbs. Because my coffee, I'll be talking about it as well. My coffee has mint, it has ginger. I always have this in my coffee. Mint, ginger. Sometimes I use star anise and cloves, sometimes bay leaves. There are times that I use cinnamon and I boil it with them. Lime or lemon, whichever one I have. I'll always add it to that. And then I add the supplements. So not only am I getting the herbs, the power of the herbs, I'm also cleansing. I'm getting my everyday coffee because I love coffee. And I'm also able to get a boost of mental clarity with energy. So it's a specialty coffee. I know people in the business don't even make their coffee like I do, but I have to drink everything with herbs. And today my outfit is from Miss Jallo. Miss Jallo. Miss Jallo has an African store here in Brooklyn. Right, I'll put it on my Instagram. It's a beautiful dress. It's long all the way. I love it. And it has a split here. I can't show you because I have nothing under. Right. Miss Jallo Tailoring, 112 Thetford Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. We sell African dresses. We do hair wraps, yes. And we fix clothes. That's true. I have had my stuff fixed with her. Thank you, Skywalker. Thank you. Yes, I love her stuff. I love Miss Jallo's boutique. I go there many times, sometimes to buy my own uh, African stuff. It's beautiful. Bye bye, everybody, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Well, at 4, we'll talk about cleansing and herbs. Love you all for staying with me.